Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be looking at proof of less work from Alephium, mainly talking about when this is actually going to come in, just because the hash rate has actually climbed substantially over the past couple of months, and we're going to see, in my opinion, the timeline of what that looks like in terms of when that's going to come online. So, proof of less work, if you haven't heard of it, is a simple, consistent, and robust consensus mechanism for achieving decentralization while reducing the energy consumption by over 87% compared to the classic proof of work. One of the main things I've thought about lately is why they haven't implemented this sooner if it does cost less energy, but that is obviously a question for the Alephium team, and they do have a whole white paper on it if you want to go look at it. This paper is about proof of less work to reduce energy consumption. If we scroll down, you can see it just basically goes over the linear proof of less work. So as I said, you can read that white paper if you want, but the main information that we're looking at here is on this Medium article. This kind of explains it a bit better for those who don't know what it is. So in proof of less work, after a certain point, miners shift part of the external cost to the internal network cost by burning some coins. In this case, mining costs are both external and internal. So the burning inside the network and then the energy and equipment. So we're talking about the ASIC miners and obviously the electricity. Since burning coins has a cost but does not burn energy, this is how we reduce the energy consumption without sacrificing security. So that's how they're lowering the energy. Obviously it's a big conversation of we need renewable sources of energy, or at least carbon zero energy for mining. To illustrate this point, imagine a world in which BTC and ALF have the same value and roughly the same network of miners. You get 1.25 BTC of mining rewards by spending 1 Bitcoin in equipment and energy costs, and then you get 1 Alephium of miner rewards by spending 0.15 Alephium in equipment and energy costs, and then burning a further 0.85. So you burn a certain amount of Alephium. In return, you get a certain amount of Alephium that is stated here. Obviously, these are not the exact mining rewards, but you can see how you basically have to pay on the network. So when you mine the block, you'll pay for that block and then you'll get what's left over, I believe. That's just a very basic breakdown of what it is. But the main thing in this video that we're going to be talking about is the Alephium hash rate and when this is actually going to come onto the network. I obviously have videos on proof of less work, kind of covering it all as a whole thing in previous videos, so you can go check them out. Mainly we're focusing on the hash rate today. So a month ago, the hash rate was at 3.12 petahash, and now it's all the way up to around 15 petahash. So that's a 5x, I think, in the last month alone. And if you extrapolate out that and say 5x in the next month as well, that would put it, I believe, at 75, and then 5x from that month on would put it at 325, and then another 5x would put it at 1,800 in petahash, so that would actually be 1.8 exahash. Proof of less work does come on when you hit 1 exahash on the network. That's what they've stated, and that's what's going to transfer over as soon as miners hit 1 exahash on the network. Obviously, we're very far off right now. If we go to a megahash calculator, you can see we're only at around 1.5%, but I do think it's going to start to climb up very quickly in the near future with all the miners coming on the network. For example, we have Casper Coin, which I kind of assume that this is the same trajectory that Alephium's going to take, this in terms of the hash rate on the network. So you can see you're around 24 petahash a year ago, and it just hit 1 exahash. One question that we could ask is, once you hit 1 exahash, is that going to activate it even if the network drops below 1 exahash? So I don't know the answer to that yet, but we'll obviously see it when it comes on the network. So right now the most powerful miner obviously is the AL1 and then the AL3s, so 15 terahash per machine. These are going to equate to, if we go here, 15 terahash. That gives you 0.015 petahash. So we don't know how many units will actually be joining the network. I know that there are obviously some of those AL1s on the network right now. If we put, let's just say, 10 units on there, that gives us 0.15 petahash, and then I believe that's 100 units right there. And then 1,000 units is 15 petahash, so kind of what the network looks like right now. Remember, that's only 1,000 units from one of these. There will obviously be new miners coming out, and I don't know how the hash rate is going to vary for them when they do come out. There is also the gold shell ones and the Dragon Ball A40 that you have here, which is going to add more hash rate to the network. But let's just say overall you have 10,000. That gets us about 15% there to the 1 exahash mark. But judging based off the hash rate of these first miners that we're seeing, I probably think we're going to see a 30 terahash one very, very quickly. So we can have 30 terahash on one machine, and then that gives us 10, and then 100, and then 1,000. And then 10,000 would give us around 30% to 1 exahash. Obviously, I don't think that it's going to jump that quickly, but there are also other machines coming on the network. There's definitely going to be more Ice River, more Bitmain. I don't know about Gold Shell if they're going to keep producing. Probably, and then Dragon Ball are obviously in game now as well for Alephium miners. As I said, I do think it's going to follow the same trajectory that Casper takes. It is a different mining algorithm, so machines can be more terahash than the machines that are on a different network. Obviously, this is K heavy hash and not the Blake 3 Alephium algorithm. So it might be a very big difference between when we hit 1 exahash on that compared to when we hit it on Casper Coin. So this was very recently, maybe, I don't know, 2 weeks ago. But you can see it climbing pretty quickly already, even last month that we see there. Let's actually bring up a bigger chart for the hash rate here. So when we're looking at all time, what is this? April. So in April of 24, you only have 360 terahash, and then it comes up to 1 petahash. Let's just see right here. So that's in June. And then from June all the way up to around a month ago, you see 3.3, and then it just takes off from there. So obviously these are exponential. It's kind of what we see. Same with Casper Coin. It is an exponential graph upwards for these hash rates that we're seeing. Now, when that does come on the network, obviously you'll be burning coins. I think they're sent to just a burn wallet, and then that stays burnt forever, which would obviously reduce the supply of Alephium, which should in turn actually increase the price. It also probably is going to make it harder for miners to be profitable. I don't think we're going to have to realistically worry about it for the next year or so until we see how much hash rate actually hits the network across the year. There might also be way more efficient miners that are coming out, so we'll have to keep an eye out for those. And I think, personally, it will be hit within the next year and a half. And that's probably going to be in 2026, so that'll be past the bull run at that point, and you'll be looking to mine it into the next bull run, hopefully, if both of them work out the way that we're thinking. So as it says there, proof of less work will activate when the total hash rate of the Alephium network reaches at least 1 exahash. So maybe it does drop down and it still allows for proof of less work if it does drop down below that threshold, but it activates at that 1 exahash mark. With Casper Coin, you can see it dips in and out of 1 exahash, and we're going to have to keep an eye on that obviously when it does come in. And then more about the proportion of the coin is burned is fixed for a given hash rate, is the same for all miners on the network. Right now the amount of Alephium to be burned is equal to 0.875 of the theoretical rewards of the hash rate exceeding 1 exahash. So it might even be a 2 Alephium block reward, and then it'll take off 0.875 of that block reward and burn it, and then leave you with the rest, I believe. This was obviously put into implementation, or at least coded, before they had this whole ecosystem. I don't know how it's necessarily going to affect that. I don't think it will at all, but there might be price action from this because people are technically losing coins. So if it's starting to come up to 1 exahash to be actually executed, then maybe the best play at that time would probably be to mine Alephium whilst you can before that 1 exahash hits and basically tanks your profitability by 0.875. So let me know your thoughts on proof of less work, when you think it's going to come into the network. I'm thinking about a year and a half, but let me know if you think that it's shorter or longer than that. Make sure you like the video and subscribe for more content like this.